Welcome back to this very special mobile couple of minutes, not mobile minute, but Chuck is just back from Las Vegas, back from CES, and I wanted to get his thoughts and impressions on what he saw, what stuck with him. So Chuck, how was CES this year, man?
Okay, I'll just give you some off the top of my head thoughts.
Sure.
We went for the first 2 days before it opened because there were press events. The first day there were 70 vendors basically that showed their stuff, and then the second night it was a bigger deal called PepCom, where there were 200 vendors that showed their stuff. And what was really interesting to me is the things that we saw. It's kind of fascinating. The stuff that we saw was all this high tech, really wizardry with AT&T networks and cars and wearable things and 360-degree things and cameras that are running all the time. And then you get to the show itself, which opened on a couple days later. It's all big hardware, big stereo systems, big stuff in cars that are boom boxes and all these things that are sort of traditional old analog types of things, but big and advanced. And there were buildings full of this stuff. The exhibitors in the halls versus the stuff that we saw. We would have private meetings with top executives, and there might be 5 top executives, and they would show us something in a relatively small room, and you had 1,200 press people kind of squeezing in, and then you get to the main hall. These big execs are all gone, and you've got a booth that's like a quarter of a mile in terms of like the Samsung booth, for example, probably was like a city block that had there must have been 50 booths inside the Samsung booth itself. So everything was sort of larger than scale, if you will. Interesting, the media, I've never experienced this, and I've been in a lot of media events. The media, in many cases, a CEO would introduce something in these private media events, and the whole room would burst out into applause. It was like media groupies. It was just odd. We also found a lot of people would wait for the media events and they'd wait in line outside for 45, 60 minutes to get a seat. And we were meanwhile going to all the smaller sessions that were going on in real time because the big sessions were all live streamed anyway. You could just go watch that on a TV or on your PC. So you didn't really have to, you couldn't get anything out of it live. The other thing on TVs, we saw some TVs, like we went to the Sharp presentation, and it was, I mean, all the presentations for the media were big multimedia productions. I mean, it was big scale stuff because you had top execs there from around the world. And they were going through the presentation, and I lost track of the code numbers of these new TVs. I couldn't track it. And I don't know how consumers, and I'm into this stuff, I don't know how consumers are going to figure out what to buy. It's just so complicated. And then you had all these peripheral companies, the wearable things. Some of them made absolutely no sense at all, but they were wireless. So they thought this was like really cool because it's wireless. This peripheral stuff, a lot of it's going to just go away because it's going to be built into things that we already have. It'll be in your car. You won't need it on a headband or inside earmuffs or something like that. It's just like weird stuff. But some of these companies will be acquired by other companies. So some of the stuff will work. I mean, lamps that can be run with an iPhone. I mean, you could also just go over and turn it on. It's just kind of
the epitome of laziness.
I mean, buying mood lamps. I mean, how 70s? But you could do it with an iPhone, not with an Android, but with an iPhone. And those are some of my initial observations. Every speaker we would see at the press events, the speaker always said, "I'm really excited about this." Of course. And we're like, "Why is this guy excited about this?" And then we listen to what they're announcing. It's like, "Boy, he better be excited because that's all that's going to sell it." In terms of what it was, there were cars everywhere at the show, at the main show, and cars were really a vehicle for something else. They were not the vehicle themselves. They were a vehicle for the new sound system. They were a vehicle for the new network, a vehicle for the new purchasing capability. There were things to charge everything, all kinds of batteries and power. I mean, it was a power-hungry place where you could get, if you brought your phone in there, you could get it powered for life. They had technology you could put on. You could drop it from the top of the Empire State Building. You could bang it with a hammer. All these things you would never do with your phone anyway. But if you wanted to, you could put this stuff on it that would protect it. Anyway, those are my top of mind views of some of the things I saw at CES. In 150,000 people, and I think that's a small estimate in terms of what it was like. It was so crowded that you couldn't move. It was actually faster to walk to the convention center than taking any vehicle because, speaking of vehicles for transportation, they didn't go anywhere because it was bumper to bumper. So that was CES. Loved it. Great stuff. Loved the technology. Loved the energy. But the pre-stuff showed to the media was totally different from what actually was at the main halls.
Is there a single product that you saw that that made you compelled to want it? Like, what was there anything there that you wanted?
There are actually some cool things that of course they're not out yet, but like the Huawei phone had some really interesting features. Just a fabulous presentation from the CEO from Asia. And one of the things that it does is with that phone, the battery is so powerful you can plug it into another phone and charge another phone with the battery from that phone in real time. I mean, that is heavy stuff.
That's cool.
The new Samsung Tablet Pros, where they've got a new kind of technology where you've got different menus on the screens. It looks very much like Microsoft's window type stuff on their tablets, and that's of course not out yet either. But that looked like pretty cool. It'll be out the first quarter of this year. So some things like that. Some things that were weird were like 360 degree. They had a 360 degree camera. Capture video for 360, but you wear it on your helmet. I mean, who's wearing a helmet?
Oh my goodness!
But
that's hysterical.
Yeah, they did practically. You got a version of it. They said, and also you can just plug this thing into your smartphone. Like, well, that makes sense. That was just an afterthought. So anyway, interesting stuff.
All right, well, there it is. Chuck's initial thoughts of what CES was like. I love it. I love it a lot. Thanks, Chuck.